was looking at your offseason plan, kind of trying to see if there's anything I could add to it. One thing I wanted to point out, which I want you to start banging the drum on, because like I tweeted at you earlier with McGlinchey, you got influence, so you can make things happen.
I tried, yeah.
Post June 1, Arik Armstead does not need to be on this team, and it's going to hurt this team if he's on this team.
So what you talking about, cutting Arik Armstead?
So cutting him would be an option. I don't think I would do it, but trading him would be ideal because it would actually, I think, help you out money-wise the most, if I'm correct.
Okay, let's see. The cut post-truth, yeah, that helps, but the trade is better.
Trade is much better. So, yeah.
Trading is better.
I was just pulling up as you were too, man. So, if you can trade him post-June 1 for, like, anything, it's a win. And not only is it a win for this season because you save a little bit of money, but where it really helps is for the next 3 years, you get $15 million. So after this year, you get $15 million on 22 added to it for your cap. You get $16 million added to 23 and $18 million added to 24. So it makes zero logistical sense to keep Arik Armstead on this team. And
it's necessary to create this cap space because it's starting to look like they're not going to get rid of D Ford. It's not going to be that easy. Yeah. So if you can't create the space there, where are you going to create it?
And that's some of the worst news I think that's came out recently is that because of what's going on with the D4 thing, it caps the Niners so much more, and they don't have as much leverage or opportunity as I thought they would have. So based off that, something I wanted to talk about with you for maybe changing your offseason plan is I think a lot of teams are going to look at this offseason as an opportunity to bargain hunt and go after all these guys who are going to get cut, like I've talked about before. And I think the Niners themselves are going to, like you were saying earlier on your channel, they're saying to themselves, oh, we were injured. We're this close. We can make it, when in reality, they're like I totally agree with what you were saying, to where they have a Rams type of cap to them. They're not going to be better than 11-5, and that's super optimistic. And even if they get to that point, how far are they going to go in the playoffs? It's
okay. So let's talk about this Arik Armstead idea. I like it. I got his over the cap up right here. So let's look. Let's walk through it. The way I see it is, I would want to trade him now because he's still cheap, but I think he might still have value now. Like, people might still think he's really good. And if you keep him for another year, he has another 3-sack season, and his salary jumps to $20 million. You're screwed, and you're stuck with him. So trading him this year doesn't create that much cap now, which that's the thing. Like, it doesn't create a lot now. So his cap number is 12.5 million. It would create 7.5 million. That's significant. Yeah. That's a good starter. Maybe that's 2 starting guards, but where you create it is down the line. And what you do is you get value for a guy who may not have value much longer. I see him as a contract year wonder. I wonder how he's a good player. Does he love it? Does he play that hard consistently? I don't know.
Well, and here's the thing.
Is he a leader?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of questions to him regarding that. But then also, if you just look at it money-wise, he's at his peak. He's going to be making 8-9% of the cap. Even if he's 25% better than he was the Super Bowl year, he's still not worth it. I mean, so that just seems like such a no-brainer thing to me. And when I was looking over our cap, I'm like, this would be a travesty if they kept him. It would just be admitting that they want to keep running it back until they can just figure it out, which clearly, like you've talked about, isn't the way to win in the NFL. You have to look at your team and try to get better.
Agreed. And with Armstead, what I would do, I'm cynical, but it's the same thing I would do with Bose. I would call Robert Saleh.
Yeah.
Hey, Robert, you love Arik Armstead. It was your idea to keep Arik Armstead over DeForest Buckner. I remember, I don't know if it was, but I'm just, you love Arik. I've heard what you've said about Arik Armstead, the smartest defensive lineman.
Or hey,
all this film.
Yeah, call the Colts and say, hey, you want to pair him up with DeForest Buckner? Or that's the thing. If I'm trying to trade Nick Bosa, Arik Armstead, any of these defensive linemen, I'm calling the Colts, I'm calling the Jets, I'm calling all these teams. So I think Arik Armstead has to go. But
what do you think he'd be worth? What do you think you can get for him?
I think maximum 3rd. I think that would be really rich too. I don't think they would get that, quite frankly. And I think that would be for the team that looks at him the most ideally, even. So,
and that's why I think the Niners probably won't do it. So here's another way you can do it. And I think the Niners are maybe figuring this out. It's embarrassing to trade Jimmy Garoppolo by himself right now because you don't get that much back for him. It's embarrassing, and you lose because you traded a second for him. Everyone will do them. It's obvious. You can do the math, the comparison. If you trade McGlinchey by himself, it's embarrassing. You drafted him with the 9th pick and you get a 5th round pick back. I think what you do is what the Rams did with Goff. Put him in a package.
I was
that way you don't know exactly what he's worth.
I was thinking exactly that as you were saying it, Grant. I was
thinking, package.
If you look at the way the Rams, what they did with Jared Goff, they didn't attach anything to his value. You don't know what he's worth, and I don't think anyone does. And there's also a lot of stuff about how the Lions GM was at the Rams before and all this stuff. It's like it's such a mystery how much Jared Goff is actually worth. So I think, and this is something you were talking about earlier and something I want to get to before I get off, is like the Niners, I think, are going to go into the season Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch's front office will say to themselves, okay, we're all the injuries happened. We're so close. We just need to make these couple moves so we can get to the promised land. So we can get that Super Bowl that we were so close to getting. That's not the reality of where the Niners are at. So, man, I think they're going to try and go all in. I think
when they should be reloading.
That's the thing.
They should be reloading for 2022.
If you take one step back this year to take 2 steps forward in 22, that would really pay off, because if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to use these draft picks for the best player available and for positions we need. Yes. And that's the way you really build a successful team.
Younger, cheaper, healthier, because you have an injury problem. Stop blaming that on bad luck. Do something about it.
Well, and NFL teams don't build well when they're desperate. And right now, the 49ers, say what you will, but they're kind of desperate to get back to the Super Bowl, because if they don't, like you've been saying, there's going to be a lot of questions if Kyle has another losing season.
It's true.
So I think, while the contract might afford him that length to be like, oh, I'm going to take a quarterback, at the same time, they're going to say to themselves, oh, we have to win now. We have to win now. So I don't know, man. I'm a little pessimistic right now.
Okay, well, before I let you go, let's circle back to where we started with Armstead.
Okay.
If we're going to put him in a package trade, well, let's come back to Deshaun Watson, because I think I think it's pretty clear the Niners' attitude with Watson is we want to be in on that. If we want to be one of the finalists, we're interested. They may not ultimately choose our trade package, but that's a clear upgrade, and we can sell that to the locker room, to the fans. And we see Peter King had a 7-player pick package today, and it was interesting. The players he picked wouldn't be the players I picked. I don't think. I mean, but let's stick with Armstead. Would he have value? I think he would have. If you say he's worth a 3rd-round pick, then he has value in that trade. Make them take him. You take Arik.
Well, and Grant, so here's the other thing with Arik Armstead I want to note is if you trade him pre-June 1, it's way worse than trading him post-June 1. And I think with Watson, is it the same thing? I don't know.
I think it will be about the same thing for Watson, because Watson's not particularly expensive. Hold on, let me hold on.
Yeah. Well, no. So what I was just going to point out with that, you don't want to trade Arik Armstead pre-June 1, because it's actually negative $9 million on your cap. Instead, you want to get that. I think. Let me just pull this up. I think it's like, okay, it's an extra 7.5 of wiggle room, which is great.